What's up guys, Ryan here from MudGunner, and today it is Viewer Builds episode number 19. We've done 19 weeks in a row. I know this one's a couple days late, but I was kind of low on submissions. You'll see this video is a little bit shorter, but don't worry, we still got a lot of great builds. So I'm excited to show you guys these. And if you guys are looking to participate in this coming Friday's viewer build video, send me your viewer build by Wednesday, please. That way I can get it edited and recorded before Friday. But this week's theme was clone rifles, and speaking of clone rifles, today's Sunday, I got to shoot a bunch of my clones today, which was awesome. I got to shoot my FBI HRT build for the first time. I got that zeroed, both suppressed and unsuppressed, iron sights, aim point, with 55 grain and 62 grain. Sometimes I just like playing around with all of it, but yeah, it just takes time. And then I also got to zero this M4A1, and I've had this gun for years, but I've changed the optics on it like 4 times. So EOTech EXPS3 on there. But yeah, I got to shoot both of these, plus a Mark 18, plus my Barrett M82, which is a clone. It's a clone of the M107. I don't know why they did that. So the M107 is an 82, but now there's the Barrett M107, which, yeah. But yeah, I have the M82A1, got to shoot that today, and that was fun.
Oh, shit.
And then if you guys want to participate in next week's theme, the theme is going to be camouflage guns. So I have 2 here that kind of fit the description of that more or less. I have my Type A Gordon carbine, which comes factory spray painted. I don't have my suppressor spray painted yet, so I understand that's not fully camouflage yet, but I will spray paint it at some point. And then I have my LMT here. This one I bought spray painted and never retouched it up, but it's all worn, and I threw black accessories on there. So at some point I will touch it up, or I won't. I don't know. But yeah, that is the theme for viewer build number 20 next week, or this coming week, is camouflage guns. It could be spray paint, it could be Cerakote, it could be a bolt gun, AR, whatever, just anything camouflage. In my head, I think it'd be really cool to see some like camouflage precision guns or sniper rifles. I've seen some really cool like LE sniper rifles that were painted, so yeah, that is the theme. The theme is camouflage, whether it be spray paint or Cerakote. And if you want to participate, again, send it to me by Wednesday. Send a horizontal picture, please, no vertical, and just clean background, or you could do the camouflage background, or it's natural environment, but just know that I might not be able to see it very well. So yeah, and when you do it, describe it from tip to butt. So don't start back here, start from the tip and work your way to the butt. It makes it easy for the video. And yeah, send that to my email, sales@atroxco.com, and I will have a description down below of how to do that as well. But yeah, with that being said, enjoy these viewer builds. All right, guys, starting off this week's viewer build video, we have Jared with his awesome looking Mark 18 here. So I'm gonna go through his build list. Starting from tip to butt, he is a Surefire 3-prong flash hider with the Warden. So that's kind of their quick detach blast averter that sends everything forward. He's got a 14.5-inch Colt government barrel that was cut down to 10.3 inches. It's got a Mark 12 low pro gas block, a Daniel Defense wrist 2 rail. It's got an SU 233 light, so the M3X Insight. I've always seen these, but I've never actually used one, but it looks really good for clone builds. It's got Magpul rail covers, a Tango Down stubby vertical grip, a Mueller Dog bone upper. I am not familiar with that one. It's got Knights Armament backup iron sights, an EOTech EXPS 3.0, an LWRC ambi charging handle, a Colt bolt carrier group, a PSA lower, an A2 pistol grip, and then a Magpul CTR stock. You didn't mention your laser here. Is that just a fake pack, or is that an actual pack, or the APLC? And then the grip, it doesn't look like an A2 unless you shaved it down. I'm not familiar with like A1s and what defines an A1, but normally the A2s have the nub, but he may have just shaved the nub off. But either way, that looks great. So yeah, thank you for sharing that one, Jared. Next up, this comes from Kyle, and this is the big brother to the Mark 18. This is an M4A1, specifically the Block 2, which is the quad rail. So I'm going to go through his build list here. He's got a Surefire Warden, but he has a suppressor on the way, so he's probably waiting for a Surefire suppressor. It's also on a Surefire 3-prong flash hider. It's got a full power PEC 15. It's got a Streamlight ProTac rail mount 2 with the pressure pad, a Colt 14.5 A2 barrel, and it's a carbine length gas system. It's got the Daniel Defense wrist 2 front sight posts, Magpul rail ladders, a Tango Down stubby grip, a Radian Raptor charging handle. It's got a Colt receiver set, a UID tag by Carolina Laserworks, so that's the sticker on the lower there. That really does make them look great. I need to get more of those. It's got a SIG Romeo 7 red dot, which is the poor man's aim point. I They work good though. I've used a bunch of SIG red dots. It's got a USGI Mawtech rear sight, so the appropriate rear sight. It's got an Aero Precision upper and lower parts kit, a Geisley SSA trigger, a BCM gunfighter grip, a B5 SOP mod enhanced stock, and then a Magpul MS4 sling that is not pictured. That's sweet, and I really like that Streamlight. It looks like you spray painted it because I haven't seen one of those in FDE, but yeah, that whole setup looks great, and I like that basically Mark 18s and M4A1s, they look very similar in a lot of people's builds. Mine too, like mine look very similar to these, because honestly it's just probably the best way to set them up. So yeah, thank you for sharing that one, Kyle. This next one comes from Charlie, and this is kind of an interesting clone. So I'm going to go through his list here. He says this is an NCR service rifle from Fallout New Vegas. And I know that's a game. Unfortunately, I've never played it. But honestly, this does look like a clone M16A1 just with wood furniture, so it counts. We're going to let it count, guys. So again, NCR service rifle from Fallout New Vegas. I have no experience with it, but I've heard of it. It's got a Delton 20-inch barrel and flash hider. It's got a surplus M7 bayonet with Cogburn Arsenal Brown polymer grips. The wood furniture is from Black Guns Wood with a triangular handguard. It's a Dirty Bird A1 upper with M4 feed ramps and no deflector. It's got an Aero Precision nickel boron bolt carrier group, a teardrop forward assist that they forgot the brand, a JC Arms fixed mag lower. Sadly, I live in a banned state, so my options are this or pre-ban, which I do have a Colt SP1 lower, which I would love to use, but it's currently housing my BCM, which is more important. That makes sense. It's still awesome that you have this in a banned state. It's got a Dirty Bird nickel trigger. The mag is a 20 round blocked at 10. Have a Vietnam era 20 rounders that can be used on the SP1. Nice. And then Live Outside Desert Coyote Camo 2-point sling. So is Live Outside the brand? I haven't heard of that one, but yeah, other than that, it looks sick. That wood looks very clean on that gun, and I bet it shoots nice. I'm curious how that wood stock feels on an AR, but yeah, thank you for sharing, Charlie. That looks great. This next one comes from Nate, and it looks like we have another Mark 18, which I will never complain about Mark 18s. I love them. And this one, it's not 100% correct, but it's my version of a Mark 18 build. Fair enough, it looks insane just from the picture. So going from his list here, he's got a Knights Armament CRS PRT suppressor with the 3-prong flash hider. So this is their new 3D printed flow-through ones, as far as I know. I don't have any experience with them, but they look really nice. It's got a Surefire Mini Scout Light Pro, a Somogear Engal as a placeholder until the OGL comes in. Nice. It's got a Troy Industries vertical grip, an Arson Machine Co. Picatinny wire guide system. I'm assuming it's that metal piece right in the middle of the side of the handguard there, but just cable management. And it looks like you have one on top. That looks good. I haven't heard of those. It's got a CAC downvent bolt carrier group. CAC is in KAK, so I don't think that's Knights Armament. It's got a Geisley supercharging handle, a Castle riser, an EOTech EXPS 3.0, a forward controls dust cover and magazine release button, Magpul MOE grip, a Trigger Tech 3.5 pound duty trigger, a Radian Ambi 45 degree safety selector, a B5 system stock, and then a carbine buffer with the H2 buffer weight. Nice. And did you mention your sling? You did not mention your sling, and unfortunately I don't know that one just by looking at it, but I like the aired multicam. But yeah, that's a sick setup, and you didn't mention your lower, right? You didn't mention your lower, but the American flag on there is cool. But yeah, I love FDE Mark 18s, and all the different tones you have here look great. So thank you for sharing that one, Nate. These next two come from Kenny. He sent us an M4A1 and the FBI HRT build. We're going to do the FBI one first because it's a little bit different than what we've got. So it's an FBI HRT 11.5-inch SBR build. So if you're not familiar with that, I did do a video of my build on this. I built mine on a BCM, but they're basically 11.5 Colts. I'm going to go through his build list here. So he's got a Surefire 3-prong flash hider, a Surefire Mini Scout with the Mod Light pressure pad, Troy flip-up front sight, a Holosun LS321 green, so that's the laser on top. It's got the correct Geisley Mark IV Fed rail in the OD green, so this is the FBI specific Geisley rail. It's got a Colt SOCOM 11.5-inch barrel, so that's more appropriate than what I have. It's got a Daniel Defense Mark 12 gas block, a Geisley Blem upper, a Geisley Super Duty lower. It's got an EOTech XPS3 on a Unity riser. It's got a Colt C-marked bolt carrier group, a Troy flip-up rear sight. These next few parts are all Geisley. So it's got the Geisley government charging handle in OD green. It's got their Super 42 buffer spring with the H2 buffer and buffer tube, all from Geisley. It's got the Geisley G2S trigger, their pistol grip, their Ultra Duty lower parts kit, and then it's got a Magpul CTR stock in OD green. And yeah, that looks awesome. So he says he built this gun kind of after watching my video, but you kind of went more all out as far as like more Geisley and the Colt barrel and bolt carrier group. So yeah, in the battle of clones, yours is more correct. But either way, that's what I love about clones is you can have the parts that look like it and still be completely like functional and amazing. And I actually just took mine out shooting today for the first time and it was awesome. So yeah, I'm glad you did the build and it came out great. So next up, we're going to do his M4A1 here. So going through his list, it's got a Surefire 4-prong flash hider, a Surefire Scout 640 dual fuel with the pressure pad, a Knights Armament front sight in the taupe color. It's got the Daniel Defense Wrist 2 rail, a Colt SOCOM heavy barrel, Daniel Defense Mark 12 gas block, the Knights Broomstick vertical grip. It's got a Colt C-marked upper and bolt carrier group. It's got a Colt M4A1 property of U.S. government stamp lower, a Geisley SSAE trigger, a Knights pistol grip in the taupe color, an EOTech EXPS3 on an American Defense riser, a Knights Armament rear sight, a PRI gas busting charging handle in tan, a CQD forward sling mount and rear sling mount, a Colt H2 buffer weight, and then an LMT SOTMOD stock in tan. And yeah, that looks great as well. I like both of your builds. I also shot my M4A1 today because I haven't shot it since I put my EOTech on there, but can't go wrong with M4A1s and the FBI build. So thank you for sharing both of those, Kenny. And if you guys want to check out his Instagram, it's sigcato_defense. But yeah, thanks again. These next guns come from Justin. It looks like we have a couple cool handguns and a sweet Block 1. So I'm going to go through the rifle first. It's a CQBR Block 1 build. It's got a Knights Armament flash hider, a Knights Armament wrist rail, a Surefire M952 fat body with a Malkov LED upgraded light head, so it should be an LED light now. It's got an Insight PEC 2A laser on top, that's awesome. It's got an Aimpoint Comp M2, an LMT rear sight, a surplus Colt upper, a newer Colt government property M4A1 lower, a Geisley SSAE trigger, and then a Colt stock. That looks sick. I want to do one of these at some point, but parts for that is a little bit tougher, especially the PEC 2. There's so many guns that use PEC 2s and Knights cans, but that stuff is hard. But I really like that build, Justin, so thank you for sharing that one. And then he has two really nice handguns here. So he has a Beretta M9, which I can't tell if that's an older one or a modern one, but it definitely looks the part. And then he's got a SIG P226 Navy, and it is not the Mark 25. He said 2000 release to the public, sometimes referred to as the Mark 24 or P226 Navy. It's basically a Mark 25 without a rail on it, and it's marked with an NSW serial number. That is cool. I'll have to find one of those now. But yeah, thank you for sharing those, Justin. Those really do fit this week's theme. All right, this next one comes from Jose, and he cloned his service rifles. So he sent me a couple pictures of him overseas, and I'm assuming these are okay to post. If not, I'm very sorry, but it looks sick. And he cloned his rifle, so I'm going to read what he said here. This is what I had in my 2 tours to Iraq. First tour was with my M4 with a CCO, which I believe is older Aimpoint. I'm not too familiar with that exact model. And second tour was with an ACOG. I would also switch from no light or no PEC 2 during the day. And yeah, so I'm going to go through his build list here. It's a Colt M4A1 SOCOM 14.5 inch. And from tip to butt, it's got a factory pin and welded muzzle brake, a Surefire M951 with the IR cap, a PEC 2A, Knights Armament quad rail. It's got a Knights Armament vertical grip on there, an Aimpoint Comp M2 red dot, an M4 aluminum clipazine that he carried on his first tour in Iraq in 2005 to 2006, Picatinny steel flip-up rear sight. It's got a factory Colt pistol grip and factory buttstock, and then he has a Spec Ops extra mag pouch, and he carried this on his first and second tour to Iraq. So nice, thank you for sharing that one. I really like the build, and it's really cool to see that you cloned the gun that you served with, and you have some of the parts like the magazine and the mag pouch. So yeah, thank you for sharing, Jose, and thank you for your service. All right, this next one comes from Drew. He did send me 2 builds, so I'm going to show those separately. He sent a lot of pictures, so I'll try to sort through what I can post on there, but yeah, unfortunately I won't be able to post them all. So this is his Mark 18 build, and I'm going to go through his list. So he's got it broken down in a couple parts. So it's got an Edgar Sherman 2-point sling, an Armageddon Extreme Heat Mirage cover, a Silencerco Omega 36M suppressor, a Silencerco Clothestine ASR flash hider. It's got Magpul standard backup iron sights. It's got a Daniel Defense Gen 2 Mark 18 upper, an Odinworks adjustable gas block, an Ergo Grips handrail covers, a Magpul vertical forward grip, an EOTech EXPS 3-0, a PRI gas busting charging handle. It's on a Palmetto M4A1 lower receiver. It's got an Ergo pistol grip, a B5 trigger guard, a Geisley SSA trigger, a CMMG lower parts kit. It's got a Geisley bolt catch, a B5 system SOTMOD stock, a Luth AR buffer tube and an H2 buffer. It's got a standard carbine buffer spring, and then a B5 castle nut and end plate. And yeah, that looks sick. I also like your suppressor wrap on there for the Silencerco. So yeah, thank you for sharing that one, Drew. And then we're going to move on to his next one here. So he says this is a clone from the movie Heat, which is awesome. It's his interpretation of the Colt 733 Commando featured in the movie. So I'm going to go through what he says here. It's an all H&R build minus the lower parts kit. When I first bought the parts, H&R was only selling the upper assemblies, and I went ahead and purchased knowing that how fast they would go out of stock. Yeah, H&R stuff is moving fast because obviously everyone wants to clone stuff. So a week later, H&R was selling the complete full pistols, and he came out a little bit cheaper. But parts-wise, it's an H&R 11.5-inch C7 pencil profile upper assembly. And then he swapped out the shiny 6-hole handguard it shipped with for a 7-hole matte finish one. It's got an A2 birdcage, an H&R M16 A2 COTS lower. I don't know what that means, unfortunately, so COTS lower, COTS. Sorry about that. He's running a Durmag in it. It's got an A2 pistol grip, a Palmetto lower parts kit with the EPT fire control group. So it says it has an H&R buffer assembly kit, but then right below it says Springco blue enhanced buffer spring and then an H3 buffer. So I don't know if that's all part of it, but yeah, there's that. But yeah, this is a sick build. I really like it. And one of these days I want to get one of those H&Rs. So thank you for sharing both of those, Drew. They came out really good. All right, guys, finishing it off, we have probably one of the most intense guns here, and I am not disappointed at all. We have a saw, and this comes from Randy. So he has an Instagram. It's called Stuff Randy Likes. Well, I like this too, and I really want a saw. So I'm going to go through his list here. He's got an FN M249S Paratrooper saw. I would assume it's semi-auto because you can buy them semi-auto, but if it's full auto, I won't say anything. It's got a surplus tri-rail on there, a surplus M249 vertical foregrip, a surplus 100-round nutsack, because it does not take magazines. Well, I guess you could use a magazine, but they're mainly fed from the drums or these sacks. Everything else is factory. It's got an EOTech, not sure what model. That looks like a 512 to me. And then he still needs to get a collapsible stock. I think it looks better than the Parastock and also need to get a sling for it. May also get an enhanced bipod so I can still fold inward even with the vertical foregrip. I like these stocks, and I've played with a paratrooper saw, but it's been years, so if I remember right, you can like pull the stock out and it twists. But yeah, that one looks slightly different from what I remember. But that thing is awesome. I really need to get one of these days. They come into our store every once in a while used, but they're still just a little out of my price range. So yeah, thank you for sharing that one, Randy. That was a really strong finish. So thank you to everyone that participated this week. These were all great clone builds, and yeah, I'm really happy with how it came out. Thank you to everyone again that participated this week. Those were some really awesome builds. It was cool to see a saw. It's also awesome to see, you know, M4A1s, Mark 18s, and the FBI builds. So I know it's kind of repetitive, but for someone like me and a lot of you guys that like this stuff, I know repetitive doesn't really bother you. Like, I enjoy seeing all the different builds. So yeah, again, if you want to participate in next week's theme, it's okay if you do 2 weeks in a row, just ideally different builds. I don't want to keep posting the same builds. But yeah, next week's theme is camouflage. Could be an AR, could be a bolt gun, handgun, shotgun, whatever. It could be a revolver if you have a spray painted revolver, but just camouflage. Now, if you send me a really crappy, well, not even crappy, let's say you send me a bright orange and blue, like Cerakote job, obviously that's not really camouflage. I might share it, but ideally we want stuff that's going to blend into natural surroundings. Again, I think mine would in the right environment, minus the suppressor, I got to paint that. And then same thing with this, it's kind of a dark tone, but I know I'm lacking in the camouflage myself. So yeah, if you want to participate, send it to me ideally by Wednesday so I can have the video posted by Friday. And you're going to send that to sales@atroxco.com. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you to everyone that participated, and stay tuned for my next video.